Chapter 3. Psychopathy. Inside the mind with no fear, no guilt, no remorse. In the previous chapters, we explored the Machiavellian mind. Strategic, patient, quiet, and calculating. We then examined narcissism, the personality built on ego, emotional manipulation, and social performance. Now, in Chapter 3, we move into the coldest and most misunderstood personality of the dark triad, psychopathy. This chapter is designed to give you a clear, scientific, and psychologically accurate understanding of how psychopaths think, act, manipulate, and select their targets. No exaggeration, no movie stereotypes, no dramatic mythology, just the psychology. By the end, you'll be able to recognize psychopathic traits with clarity, accuracy, and confidence, and you'll know exactly how to protect your mind and your boundaries. Let's begin. Section 1. What psychopathy actually is. Psychopathy is not bad behavior. It is not a mood. It is not a mean person. It is not simply coldness or emotional distance. Psychopathy is a specific cluster of traits, rooted in neurological, genetic, and developmental factors. Psychopaths consistently display 1. Very low empathy. They can understand emotions intellectually, but do not feel them deeply. 2. Lack of guilt or remorse. They don't experience the emotional discomfort that stops most people from harming others. 3. Fearlessness. Their amygdala, the brain's fear center, is less reactive. This makes them calm under pressure, even in danger. 4. Shallow emotions. They may mimic emotion, but it's often a performance, not an authentic experience. 5. High confidence. Psychopaths are rarely insecure. Their confidence is natural, not practiced. 6. Thrill-seeking behavior. Boredom hits them faster than it hits normal people. They crave stimulation, risk, intensity, and novelty. 7. Manipulation without hesitation. Not emotional manipulation like the Machiavellian. Not ego-driven manipulation like the narcissist. Psychopathic manipulation is fearless, direct, and efficient. 8. Charm without sincerity. Their charm doesn't come from emotional warmth, but from emotional freedom. Freedom from anxiety, fear, and self-doubt. These traits combine into a personality built on boldness, fearlessness, emotional detachment, strategic opportunism. Now here's the important truth. Most psychopaths are not criminals. Many are extremely successful. They work in leadership, entrepreneurship, politics, law, sales, high-pressure careers, crisis-oriented professions. These are called successful psychopaths. They use their traits not for violence, but for power, influence, and advantage. They operate in society, and they thrive. Section 2. How psychopaths think. To understand psychopathy, you must understand the operating system behind the behavior. Here are the core mental frameworks psychopaths rely on. 1. They live in the present moment. Psychopaths do not worry about long-term consequences. Their fear response is reduced, so future punishment does not intimidate them. They act according to immediate opportunity, not long-term risk. 2. Emotional pain does not affect them deeply. Sadness, guilt, shame. These emotions may register intellectually, but they do not hit with any real force. This gives psychopaths an unusual kind of freedom. They can make decisions without emotional friction. 3. They see relationships as transactional. To a psychopath, relationships are resource exchanges. People are tools, assets, obstacles, opportunities, sources of stimulation, never emotional anchors. 4. Control is more valuable than love. Love requires vulnerability. Psychopaths avoid vulnerability. Control, however, gives them predictability. Predictability gives them power, and power gives them security. 5. They are stimulation-driven. Danger excites them. Risk energizes them. Chaos feels like entertainment, not threat. Where most people avoid turbulence, psychopaths seek it out. 6. They never internalize blame. If something goes wrong, It wasn't their fault. Someone else caused it. You misinterpreted it. The situation was unfair. Responsibility simply does not stick to them. 7. They are hyper-observant. This is the part most people overlook. Psychopaths are excellent emotional analysts. They read body language. They scan for insecurities. They assess vulnerability. They map your reactions. They note your fears. Even if they don't feel emotion, they understand how emotion works and how it can be used strategically. Section 3. The charm of the psychopath. The most misunderstood element of psychopathy is their charm. Psychopathic charm is not emotional warmth. It is social mastery without fear. They are often funny, bold, smooth, relaxed, confident, attractive, commanding. Their charm works because they don't fear embarrassment. They don't fear rejection. They don't fear judgment. They don't fear being wrong. This gives them a natural charisma that feels almost superhuman. People interpret this fearlessness as strength, confidence, maturity, trustworthiness, leadership. But the truth is simpler. Their lack of fear removes the barriers that make most people socially cautious. Their confidence feels real. Because it is real, it comes from the absence of emotional weight. This is why psychopaths often become the most magnetic person in the room. Section 4. Manipulation tactics. Psychopaths don't manipulate through emotion, like narcissists or Machiavellians. They manipulate through calm precision. Here are their most common tactics. 1. Mirroring. They reflect your personality back to you to build connection and trust quickly. 2. Future faking. They promise big plans, big dreams, big commitments, with zero intention of following through. 3. Boundary testing. They violate small boundaries early to measure how much control they can gain. 4. Logical, emotionless decision-making. Their coldness makes them appear strong, which can be mistaken for leadership. 5. Selective charm. They charm people with value and discard those without. 6. Guiltless gaslighting. They lie smoothly, effortlessly, confidently, because they feel no guilt. 7. The predator pause. A silent, analytical moment used to calculate how you are responding. Section 5. Why they target certain people. Psychopaths do not target everyone. They target people who provide stability, empathy, emotional predictability, forgiveness, patience, loyalty, usefulness. These traits are valuable to them and easy to exploit. Psychopaths specifically seek people who avoid conflict, want to help, hope others can change, give second chances, fear being unkind, suppress their own needs, stay loyal even when hurt. These traits become vulnerabilities in the presence of a psychopath. But here is the power. Psychopaths avoid people who enforce boundaries early, demand accountability, question inconsistencies, show emotional independence, don't reveal vulnerabilities quickly. Boundaries repel them. Section 6. How to protect yourself. To become resistant to psychopathic manipulation, you must practice. 1. Watching actions, not charm. Charm is strategy. Behavior is truth. 2. Limiting early vulnerability. Never share your deepest emotions early. Psychopaths use this information strategically. 3. Enforcing boundaries immediately. A single boundary violation is not an accident. It is a test. 4. Stop over-explaining. Over-explanation signals emotional softness and opens you to manipulation. 5. Trust patterns, not promises. Psychopaths talk beautifully, but act consistently. 6. Trust your intuition. Your instincts detect danger long before your logic does. Tonight, we walked into the most emotionally cold mind of the dark triad. And now, you understand the charm. You understand the danger. You understand the tactics. You understand the psychology. But most importantly, You understand your own power. Awareness makes you untouchable. Boundaries make you unbreakable. Knowledge makes you free. The dark triad only controls people who walk blindly. You are no longer one of them. Thank you for joining this journey. You are stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever. Conclusion: the dark triad, a psychological exploration. We've traveled through the minds of the dark triad, 3 of the most complex and psychologically captivating personalities in human behavior. We began with Machiavellianism, the strategist who manipulates through calculation, precision, and long-game tactics. We moved into narcissism, the ego-driven personality that feeds on admiration and shapes entire emotional worlds around itself. And finally, we stepped into the chilling realm of psychopathy, a mindset defined by fearlessness, emotional detachment, and an absence of guilt or hesitation. Throughout this journey, we didn't just study definitions. We decoded patterns, behaviors, and motivations. We uncovered how these personalities operate, how they select their targets, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself in a world where manipulation often wears the mask of charm and confidence. This series was built to give you a clear understanding of how dark triad personalities think and influence others, not to create fear, but to provide clarity. By now, you have the awareness to spot manipulation early, the strength to defend your emotional boundaries, and the insight to sharpen your psychological resilience. You've completed the full exploration, the ruthless strategy of the Machiavellian, the emotional theater of the narcissist, and the cold detachment of the psychopath. But the most important truth is this: dark triad personalities thrive only when their targets are unaware or unprepared. When awareness is missing, you become vulnerable. When boundaries are ignored, you become accessible. When intuition is silenced, you become a target. Awareness changes that. Awareness brings clarity. Clarity builds control. And control gives freedom. You now have the tools to identify manipulation before it reaches you. You can spot red flags sooner, protect your emotional space, and move with a stronger psychological foundation. Remember, you can be kind without being naive. You can be empathetic without being exploited. You can have a big heart and remain completely untouchable. Kindness becomes a weakness only when boundaries are absent. And now you know how to fortify them. The journey doesn't end here. Each time you trust your intuition, enforce a boundary, or choose your pace, you become more grounded, more resilient, and more unshakable. Step forward with confidence and clarity. The world of the dark triad is no longer a mystery, and it no longer has power over you. Thank you for choosing growth. Thank you for choosing clarity over fear. Thank you for choosing awareness over manipulation. Stay aware. Stay strong. Stay free.